Hi foodies, if you're a pasta lover, you're definitely going to enjoy this. Some braised beef shank ragu. This is my version of this really comforting Italian dish. You set it in the oven for a few hours and forget about it. Super easy. Let's get into it. So here I have the beef shanks, guys. They were cut up by my butcher. The bones are still left in there. And we're going to add some Italian seasoning. We're also going to go in with some black pepper, add some onion powder, and then of course we will be adding some garlic powder, because you know garlic powder and onion powder, they're like brother and sister when it comes to cooking. They just love each other. So we'll put those in there, and we'll also go in with some paprika after this. I'll also add some ground cloves, and that will be it. If you don't have Italian seasoning, then just add your herbs and add your favorite beef seasoning. Mix this together, let it marinate overnight ideally. So the next day, what we need to do is sear the beef. So we have some oil in the pot, and we're just going to brown the beef on all sides. It doesn't have to be super dark. You're just kind of trying to sear it off a little bit. So sear it and then flip it over and sear it again. Once you get a little bit of brown on all the pieces, then we will set the meat aside. We're going to be making this really flavorful today. We have some bay leaf, we have some oregano, rosemary, thyme, garlic, there's carrot, celery, and onion. These are all going to go into the pot when we take the beef out. So check on that, flip it over when ready, and then continue to brown the beef. Once all the pieces of beef are browned, set them aside, and we're using the same pot. Okay, so we're going to be adding just a little more oil if necessary, and then we will cook the veggies. So we're going to add the onion, the celery, and carrot, and then we'll stir them around over low to medium heat because we want them to soften, and these vegetables are going to add a really beautiful flavor. They are going to get naturally sweeter, so that's going to give our braised beef a lot of natural sweetness. Really delicious. It kind of balances out the savory part of the dish. Now you just want to cook these until they are softened and really fragrant. The longer you cook it, the better flavor you will have, but go based on how much time you have, of course. Once these are softened, then I'm going to add the minced garlic and cook the garlic until it is a little softer as well. Once the garlic is a little softer, then we're going to go in with some flour. This is going to help to thicken up that sauce. Alright, so we'll add that flour, stir it in, and you want to cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes because of course that starchy taste. You don't want to just have that really strong flour taste in your sauce. So cook it over low heat, and then we will go in and add our red wine. So all the seasoning and whatever flour might have stuck to the pot, the wine is just gonna deglaze the pot and just lift everything up, and it's just gonna be a beautiful smell, and the flavor is really great, guys. That's what we're doing. We're kind of building the flavor of the sauce. So after the wine has reduced for about 3-4 minutes, then I'm going to be adding the crushed tomatoes. You could use tomato paste, and then of course you would use a lot less, but because I'm using crushed tomato, I'm using a lot more. Then you can add your herbs, the rosemary, the bay leaf, the thyme, the oregano, and we'll add some broth, and we'll add some balsamic vinegar as well. So that's the balsamic vinegar I just added, and then the broth will come in afterwards. You can use beef broth. That would be ideal. I ran out of beef broth, so I just used the chicken broth. Okay, so if you don't have beef broth, you can go ahead and use chicken or vegetable broth. If you have a beef bouillon, then you could just add water and add the bouillon too. Because of the acidity of the tomatoes, I'm gonna add a little sugar. So if you don't want to add sugar, you can leave it out, but I do like to add a little bit because of the acidity of the tomato. So we'll stir the sauce around, then we'll add that beautiful beef that we browned earlier. Once you add the beef, you're going to make sure that you push it down into that lovely sauce, and we are going to simmer this for 10 minutes on the stove. After it simmers on the stove, then we're going to finish it in the oven. The reason I love this pot is because the cover, guys, it's actually self-basting. So while the beef is cooking in the oven, all that moisture will be inside there and it will continue to baste itself. You can check on it, of course, occasionally, but the lid, it just makes it easier because it's designed that way to keep everything nice and moist. So cook it in the oven, 300 degrees Fahrenheit for about 3 hours, or until it's super tender. You can definitely check on it occasionally, guys, but if you're using a really nice braiser, that pot will have your back. Your meat won't dry out. Of course, you can add a little more water or broth while it's cooking in the oven if you feel like it's drying out too much. But look at this gorgeousness. It is a super rich sauce. The meat just melts into it and it is just so flavorful. The smell will fill your kitchen, guys, and trust me, don't do this when you're hungry. Make sure you start early so that when it's dinner time, it will be good to go. But look at that, guys. It is amazing. What we're gonna do now is take the meat out of the sauce and put it in a bowl, because what we want to do is just, make sure we take off all those bones and shred the meat. That's what we're gonna do. Just use a fork or your clean hands in gloves, whatever you prefer, and just pull it apart. It's so juicy and tender. Of course, you can have this with many side dishes, but I want to have it with pasta. So I'm going to be cooking up my pasta, and this is just really thick. It's much thicker than fettuccine, so it will stand up to that sauce. And it is just, this brand is really good. I like this brand. You can buy whatever your favorite brand is, okay? So once that's ready, we are going to add it to the sauce. So stir that around, add in your pasta. As you can see, it is not red, just not like a major red tomato sauce. All right, it's kind of reddish brown. So toss in that pasta and you can add the meat that you shredded and you are good to go, guys. After tossing everything together, I like to put a little Parmesan cheese on top and some parsley or basil for garnish. But that's it. It is simple, it is comforting, and you can serve a lot of people with this. It is very hearty. So give it a try and come back and let me know what you think, guys. Let me know in the comment section if you've ever made beef ragu. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.